This is the secret base for Lok's cult. The place where all those devas are getting their weapons. The actual cultists are deep inside, but they've bound a golem's magic to the door, so only the cultists can get in. Unless you destroy the golem. And once you're past that door, you can fight your way to the head of the cult. Naturally, he's in the deepest part of the cave. Good luck. You'll need it.
What's going on, everybody? It's TheNidien. We have some TERA Online. This is my Berserker from Doom, and I absolutely am loving this game. But what you're watching here is the Bastion of Lok, and this is the very first instant you're going to get into around level 20. If you guys are playing the game and maybe haven't made it that far, if you guys are thinking about picking it up a little bit after release, this is the very first instance you're going to get into. And this instance was a ton of fun. I actually tried to run it a couple more times. Couldn't really find a group within the time period that I allowed myself to kind of find a group, and then I just moved on and started re-leveling again. But as you can see, I'm level 21 in this instance here, and I got my guy up to about level 25 last night, and I'm going to try to get in a little bit before work because the beta is going to shut down a little bit after I get out of work tonight, and then we're going to have to wait a week until the head start starts and get in there. I do have a couple small issues that I need to either email En Masse on or try to call them and see if I can talk to their customer support. Bill Keys gave me a PAX East code, which gives me the Lion without having to kind of upgrade to that digital enhanced edition or whatever it is, the digital collector's edition that gave you the Lion mount. So I did get the Lion mount pretty much for free. Thank you, Bill Keys. And what happened is you go under your account on their main website, and they only have one option to put in your code under your account. But what it does is makes like sub accounts underneath your main account. So I had the code, my pre-order code, which allowed me to get in, and it started a TERA 1 sub account, and then I went and put in my PAX East code, and it gave me a TERA 2 sub account, and I can't log in underneath each one of them separately. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go to log in, I have to pick TERA 1 or TERA 2. And if I pick TERA 1, I don't get the Lion mount. If I pick TERA 2, I don't have a character under character 2, and I don't get the Lion mount. So and I get the Lion mount. It's really weird, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. So I got to call them and see if they're going to merge the accounts under one, because it just doesn't make any sense. But that's really the only issue I've had so far in this game. The game's running smooth. I got a new graphics card, and the HDMI connection must have been a little wonky in the back of my graphics card on my 5770. It's either that or I had some corrupted drivers, and I was getting weird artifacting going on. And all sorts of stuff with the Colossus, but we got all that fixed now, so hopefully the sound and everything is always going to be synced up, and I'm not going to have an issue from here on out. Hopefully. That's I say that now, because what I was going to try to do is do a little bit of different style comm here, where I kind of put it up in the game, kind of shrink the gameplay down, and I was going to do a live comm with like my Microsoft Live Cam, but my Microsoft Live Cam microphone just crapped the bed, and I tried to find some solutions online. I guess a ton of people are having problems with this thing. It's just getting a bunch of static in the background. Like I can hear myself talking, but the static is so loud that I'm not going to be able to kind of cut that out and still be able to hear myself. It's really weird. I've never had this problem before, but it seems like it comes and goes as it will with this webcam, so I'm going to be looking for a different one. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know, because I want to do a little bit of different style comment. Like I said, start upping my editing. But enough of that. Let's get back into TERA. So this is going to be the first boss you're going to run into here, and what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to have to kill this chick. And then once you kill this chick, you're going to see that the golem pops out. Now, we had a small issue with a tank. As you can see, we only have a 4-man party out of the 5. We did have a tank. He DC'd like maybe 5 minutes into the instance, and we waited around for him and waited around for him as we kept clearing to finish up some quests. Then we re-queued, and we kind of just hung out and waited for a little while, and we couldn't get anybody to come in, because one of the issues with the queuing is warriors can't queue up as a tank and then as a DPS. They're all queuing up, and they all go into the DPS pool, and it's not allowing the warrior tanks to kind of separate themselves from the warrior DPS, and it's an issue right now. So it kind of makes a little bit of an issue for group making and matchmaking as far as the dungeon finder goes. But the cool thing is they did add a cross-server dungeon finder into this game right off the launch. You can get in there, everybody's mixed in, and it makes it really quick to find a group. It's just one of those things. As soon as warriors can queue up as tanks, there's going to be a lot more groups going on. It's going to make it a lot easier. But either way, we lost our tank a little bit of ways through here, and we got sick of waiting. We're like, you know what? Let's just try the first boss, see what happens, and go from there. And it worked out really well with this group. The Mystic we had was really good. He knew what he was doing. He set up orbs all over the place and preset them up, and then we kind of got in here and we didn't have an issue with the first boss. We had a small issue with the second boss, which you're going to see, and that's a little bit of something to look out for anybody that's looking to get in the Bastions of Lok. It got real interesting real quick, and we ended up wiping and have to come back and redo it, but we did get it done without a tank. So it is possible. You just got to pay attention and kind of know your blocks. One thing I really like about the Berserker compared to the Slayer is I tried a Slayer out in the closed beta, and the Slayer has a dodge, and the dodge is kind of like a jumping roll. So when you dodge, you jump and roll off to the back of the mob or off to the side, and it got really confusing with the camera angle because I wasn't used to the combat system yet. And with the Berserker, I can just sit there and block with my axe. It's not a big deal. Just as much as a Lancer can sit there and block with their shield, I can do the same exact thing. And it kind of keeps me stationary. One thing, though, with the Berserker is their attacks are obviously much slower than, say, the Warrior or a Sorcerer or an Archer. And so you'll see that this freaking Golem is jumping around all over the place, so it makes it real hard for me to queue up my skills in time, and I'm whiffing, and you're just going to see a bunch of new moves as I'm trying to learn this whole system. But what you got is, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, like, are there talent trees, are there this and that? So we're going to go through a little bit of this, and now that I got a lot better understanding of what's going on. Talent trees, there are no talent trees. What they have in this game is like a glyph system. At level 20, you're going to be able to buy your first glyphs. And what the glyphs do is you go in, and it's almost like World of Warcraft's glyph system. So there's gonna be certain glyphs, and they're not really cheap. They're like 32 gold or not 32 gold, like 32 silver for the level 21s, and then all the way up at like level 58ish, they go up to about 108 gold. But either way, what you're going to do is you're going to buy a glyph, and there's going to be all sorts of options for the skills you have. So, like, for example, I bought a glyph that allows me much bigger crit chance on my auto attacks. And you see me here, I start my combos out with my auto attacks. So it gives me a much bigger crit chance on those. And then I have another glyph that reduces my charge timer on my AoEs by 25%, so I can charge it up, and it's a big difference. One thing though, you can't just go and buy a glyph for every single skill. You get glyph points so at level 20 you're going to get 10 glyph points, and the 2 glyphs that I have are 5 glyph points apiece. There are ones that are 3 glyph points apiece, so I could actually go in and get 3 skills and activate the glyphs on them and then go from there. So you got to kind of play around with the points, kind of see where you want to take your character. Like some of them give you increased power so you hit harder, some of them reduce cooldown times, some of them give you MP back upon hits, crit chances, so on and so forth. So you got to really pay attention to your glyph points, and then kind of spec accordingly, and then you can have different sets of gear with different sets of glyphs and go from there. So it's really interesting to kind of look for, and I got to get into it. I think at level 25 I have 15 glyph points at the moment, and I kind of just stayed back and didn't really want to spend a bunch of money on glyphs until I really know where my character's heading, because there's a ton of choices, and I didn't really want to get into that. But you see we dropped the Golem, no big problem. So that's what they got as far as like a talent tree goes. I know I've seen a lot of people complaining in the chat channels that they didn't have a talent trees and they didn't understand the glyph system. But just one of those things you're going to have to get used to. I kind of like the glyph system as far as it goes, and it gives you a lot more options. And not to mention, you can buy the glyphs. You can just go ahead and buy all the glyphs and then just set up the certain skills as glyphs depending on the dungeon you're running, depending on your group makeup. So you have everything active and ready to go just like that. So it's a really good system, and you don't really have to play around with it too much, but it is expensive. Crafting. I got into a bunch of crafting this weekend. Now, crafting is expensive. And my whole premise behind the whole crafting thing is this. A lot of people aren't going to bother with gathering. There's going to be a good chunk of people that bother with it, but it is it's a minute grind. It really is, to get your points up and go from there. And then I can make, like the steel bars in order to do armor smithing, weapon smithing. I can make cloth. I can make all the other essences and all that other good stuff up to the point where I'm at right now. And what that's going to do is, not even if I don't go too far into the crafting, that's just going to allow me to get my materials, so I'm not spending 800 gold on an item at endgame. I'm only going to be like, here's my materials, I'll give you 100 gold to craft this up, thanks. And I'm going to save a lot of money like that and go all the way through my characters, because one of the cool thing about the crafting system in this game is you can literally pick up every single crafting option there is. So I can be a weaponsmith, armorsmith, tailor, leather worker, focus crafting, and alchemist all on one character. If I want to make all my characters, I can feed all the materials and everything right to this guy and not really worry about it and be really, really self-efficient. The one thing that is a drawback, like I said, is everything's really expensive. And I went to try to make some items. I have plenty of materials to make the generic items, but in order to attune them and then enchant them, you need specific runes. And some of these runes where I'm at right now, the paved runes of Titan, only drop from, I've only found them on the basilisks. And you can get into a bunch of basilisk groups, but the problem with the Titan runes is they just drop like normal loot, and they don't get distributed evenly. So for example, if a little thing of 3 pave runes of Titans drops out, whoever picks it up first gets those pave runes. So you got to be slamming that F button, and nobody really seems to care at the moment who gets them and who doesn't. So it's one of those things you got to really pay attention to, and I've only been able to pick up 1, which doesn't even allow me to make 1 attuned item, so I haven't even really bothered with buying any more recipes as far as that goes. I have gotten armor smithing up to 100, weapon smithing up to 100, and you see a big new move right here. I don't know what I hit. As far as my hot bars were gone, I had to kind of yell in the chat just to get that off there, and then I had to rely on my combo system. And this is one of the good things about the combo system here, is you don't even need your hot bars up here to start your combos out, as you see me going through here. All it is a space bar if you have them set up correctly, and you can just keep going until the fight's over, and then you can see me going here and kind of fix this as I made my little new move mistake. But we're just kind of clearing all this out as we go. Here is where we got into a lot of trouble, and I'll get back into crafting here in just a little bit. We didn't clear the entire instance. There's a couple rooms behind us, and we came in here and we didn't pay much attention to it. This was like everybody's first run. So we were in here, and all of a sudden I'm on the boss, and I turn around and I see these guys coming in, and I'm like, where did all these guys come from? I didn't have time to chat. I was just kind of trying to figure out what was going on, and it gets absolutely crazy here in a second. You can see him coming out of the door here, and you're just going to watch an absolute nightmare. I don't know how we did it. The Mystic ends up dying fairly quick, but we end up clearing this entire disaster up. Well, I mean, we had probably 50 mobs up in here, and we ended up clearing it up, and we ended up getting the boss down to about 40% without the healer. But then we ended up dying and have to run back, and we needed to clear this out anyways. So one thing you guys are going to want to make sure is when you get in the Bastion of Lok and somebody's like, ooh, big boss, let's go get him, make sure you clear the instance out, because you just don't want to wipe and run back. It's really annoying, and it was just one of those things. So we came back, and we did end up beating him up here in just a little bit, but I really wanted to show you guys this absolutely chaotic mistake that we made. So as we clear this up, and then you're going to see us start the fight over again when we come back here, and kind of get it done correctly the second time, we'll get back into crafting. So yes, you can be all the crafting you want to be. You can go and grab up all your gathering professions you're going to want to gather, and you don't need to train your gathering. You just go and you pick it up, you get a point for it, and you move on to the next area. One thing I do suggest, though, real quick, with the gathering is you're going to want to get up to at least about 50 to 75 for the second tier gathering. And I hit that at right around level 25-ish. I'm starting to get into the second tier nodes, and they're still on hard, but they're a lot easier to pick up. I went in there with about a 30 gathering in each of them, and I failed and failed and failed and failed and failed, and it was just one of those things. So you're going to want to go between 50 and 75. You have a really, really high rate of success, and then you'll get 2 points all the way up to 100, and then it starts going into 1 points. So it's one of those things. And the crafting professions, you can level up. You don't have to just make, say, you make a bunch of bars and then you can only get to a certain height, and then you got to go from like 20 to 100 with making items. I literally leveled all my crafting up by just making materials in order to make items, and I really like that because, like I said, it's expensive. So you got crafting is really good. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm going through and doing my gathering because, like I said, I don't think a lot of people are going to take the time to do it because like it is a small, minute grind, and people are just going to get sick of it. So it's going to save me a lot of money in the end. And I'm just trying to learn how to be a good berserker because right now I'm going through the motions. And right after this instance, I hooked up with another mystic and went through and we just started doing quests together, and we got up into a bunch of BAMs, which are the elites in here. They're just big ass monsters, and they are soloable. I did solo a couple of them with a berserker. It takes a long time and you have to be really careful, but with the mystic it just made it a lot easier, and I was able to hold aggro a lot easier with just the two of us. But as you see me blocking here because I kind of got the motions down to this guy, so it went really well. And when you get this guy down to about 40 to 30%, I can't remember exactly what the percentage is, there's going to be another guy that comes out and the mystic's able to sleep him, and then you can finish off the boss and then go take him out. So it's not really a big deal, but there is another guy that comes out and you're going to see us kill him at the end, and the mystic knew right what to do and slept him right off the bat. He was kind of paying attention and looking for him. But yes, so we got crafting out of the way, we got the first dungeon, and yeah, going through on the berserker. It's just a lot of fun, and you just have to be really careful as a berserker. I haven't had too much issues except for BAMs, and like I said, you got vampiric blow, which kind of heals you a little bit. It doesn't do a whole lot of healing, but it's enough if you get down to do a vampiric blow, and then you can pop a potion and kind of bring yourself back up. Being a Baraka, I get a one-time like 60-minute cooldown full heal, almost like being a paladin, so that works out really well. I got into a couple situations that I needed to use it. You can see it's on cooldown timer right now, and I usually always have it on a cooldown, unfortunately, because I get myself in the situations that I shouldn't be in. If you're looking and you're wondering, okay, who's got aggro? When this pops up, you're going to see that when you see that little eyeball pop up above your head, that's the person with the aggro. So me and the Slayer were able to kind of jump back and forth and kind of keep it off the Mystic as much as possible. It wasn't fully possible, but we tried it and it worked out pretty good. And with the BAMs, I was able to really get my aggro generation down and go from there. So that worked out really well. So I could possibly tank even with Berserker. I know I've seen the chat saying, oh, Berserkers are horrible in PvP or PvE, this and that, and I'm just having a blast with it. I'm going. I don't know how people can tell what's going to be bad, what's going to be good with the game that's only been through a couple closed betas and we're in the open beta. I don't listen to any of that, but what you're going to see is a lot of Slayers. You're going to see a lot of Sorcerers. I haven't really run into too many Archers whatsoever. There's a lot of Mystics, very few Priests, very few Berserkers, and a ton of Lancers. So, you know, it's one of those things, you know, everybody's playing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I can't wait to get back in this game and get into my second dungeon and move forward. So if you guys are really looking forward to checking this out, like I said, the open beta closes down to like Tuesday morning at 3 a.m. I do believe, or 11:59 PST tonight. So if you haven't downloaded it, it's a huge download, and I don't think you're going to be able to download it in time and get some game time in, unfortunately. But the head start is coming, and you can almost kind of pre-order it right now, get into the head start for $5, and then if you really don't like it, just cancel your pre-order, and then you're not really wasting your time, especially through GameStop. I know some other places pre-order, they take the full amount out, and then you kind of have to go through all those worries, but $5 is $5, and then you even get your $5 back to put on another game. So here we go. We dropped this big old dude down, and here's the second guy that popped out and was slept by the Mystic, and he's much easier. He doesn't really do anything, as you see us just rape this guy. But this was a ton of fun, and I'm having a blast with this game. The combat system is what makes it, I believe. If it was a generic combat system like most MMOs come out with, I think we might have a small issue as far as that goes, because of the boredom of the combat systems is just getting a little bit old, and it's good to see a company kind of pick it up. But here we go. This guy drops down. I get an awesome breastplate. I enchant it to a +3. So that's what I got for you guys today. And as always, keep your heads up. Have a great day. Peace. What's up, everybody? I just want to let you know you guys can hit up my Tales of Grace's F playthrough over on Tour de Force. I got a little link for you guys up there. If you missed my last couple episodes of my Darksiders playthrough, we got a link for you as well. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Check me out over on Justin TV, Facebook, and Twitter.com. Go over and say hi to the VSO Gamer page and the VidThrough page. I hope to see you guys there soon. So as always, keep your heads up. Have a great day. Peace.